Hey guys, hopping on to talk about a little tip, hack, I don't ever really call it a hack, but a little tip to maintain your sanity and the sanity of your clients when you have big projects. And when I mean big projects, I mean, say, an entire website rewrite, or you're writing an entire email funnel, or something like that. Anything that's like a whoa, big copy project. And they can be really exciting and they can be really great because, you get maybe a really great project price for it. But they can be really daunting when you sit down and write them. And just as important or just as big of a consideration, they can be really daunting for your clients when it comes to your client having to sit down and review it. And unfortunately, when things are daunting for your clients, it means that your clients tend to put things off, which means that can affect your schedule and affect how much time you have to do rewrites and that kind of thing. So one of the things that I think you should strongly consider, or I should say my recommendation, our recommendation, the team's recommendation, is when you have a big project, break it down as much as possible. So for example, if you have, and this is for writing and also for delivery, if you have a big project like a website, of course, you're going to create a brief for the whole website and you create a brief for each page. But if it's a really big website, it might not be a great idea to try to sit down and write it all at once. So first of all, write it individually, write each page individually. Think of each page as its own project, because when you think of it as multiple pages, it can be very overwhelming and your resistance can really kick in. Something to also think about though too is to consider whether or not it makes more sense to deliver things to your client in batches. So instead of saying, all right, I'm going to do the whole website, in a month or whatever, might it make more sense to send along maybe a page at a time or a couple of pages at a time if they make natural sense kind of grouped together. This again makes it a lot easier for your client to go through, makes it a lot easier for them to give you feedback. Also something to think about, if you are writing an email funnel, that can be a huge project. A lot of people think, well, it's just a bunch of emails all at once. And of course, as we know, that is not the case. Each message has to build on the previous message. A whole email funnel, you have to think about it holistically, taking a reader from one place to another place, kind of taking their hand and taking them to another state of being. And each message with each email is a standalone email, but it also has to have a really good interplay in the full funnel. And so first of all, even before you begin writing, getting that outline down of what the messaging is going to be for each one, that's a great place to start, and sending it through to your client to say, or talking it through with your client and saying, hey, are we on the same page just with this outline? We had a really good input call, kickoff call, and I think I understand all of this, but now I want to make sure we're on the same page with the outline. And then once you get the okay on that, then maybe you go through and you write each email at a time and you send through each email. Obviously you need to make sure that there is, that this is noted on your kind of project plan so that your client understands they're going to be getting copy a little bit sooner, and they shouldn't wait and save all that copy and give you all the feedback at the end. They can, but that's not going to work out well for anyone. But so instead of having this whole email funnel and kind of sending it all through to them at the end and then having them have to digest all that and give you feedback on all of it, it can be so much easier in terms of writing, in terms of incorporating feedback, because if there's feedback they give you for the first email, that might be feedback that would work well for the other emails in the funnel. And then you don't have to wait until the very end to go, oh, now you have to incorporate that in the other 7 emails. And it also, again, makes it a lot more manageable for your client. And don't forget, too, to to set those expectations for your client. Say, all right, here's what we're going to do. Because it's a long email funnel, I'm going to send through each email as I do it, or not send through, or, maybe for the first one you have a call to take them through, and then maybe you send through afterwards. And also don't just send through copy. Make sure you go through, right, here's where this email is, here's where it comes in the sequence, here's the email message that comes before it, like the concept of the email that comes before it, here's what we're trying to get across in this email, and here's the one that's going to come in next. Because as you know, again, an email and a funnel doesn't live on its own. It all works together. So when you're sending through pieces of the funnel, make sure they understand how it all works together. And again, say, okay, so this is the first one. This is what the message we're trying to get across is. This is what we're trying to get them to do, and this is going to be the next one. Or this will be the concept of the next one. This is a copy for the first one, and this will be the concept of the next one. If you could get me feedback by XYZ, I'm going to keep working, but the sooner you can get me feedback, the sooner I can incorporate that into the other pieces, and that will just help us stay on schedule. And if your client's like, well, I really can't, I have to give you feedback on these all at once, you say, no, that's absolutely your choice. Is it ideal? No. You just say that's absolutely your choice. I just give you this option because a lot of my other clients have found it so much more manageable to give feedback on these emails as they come through versus having to give feedback on 7 emails and having to turn that feedback around in just a couple of days at the end. Sometimes that will make clients understand your point of view and understand that maybe the way that they had it planned in their head is not actually the smartest way to do it. Again, we love our clients, but they're not professional clients. So sometimes we have to guide them a little bit. But so in a nutshell, big projects, very exciting, high ticket projects, awesome, but they can be very daunting. Do not let yourself get overwhelmed. Even if it's a single project, but a bigger project like a sales page or something like that, break it down. You don't necessarily have to get it all done in one sitting. If you need to, break it down and do it section by section. And same thing with big projects. Break it down and do it email by email or page by page or that kind of thing. And also make sure that you manage the client side as well. If it makes sense, and often it will, send through parts of those projects as you go. And again, manage expectations, let them know what's coming, when you need feedback, let them know where a piece of the project fits into the full. It's always better to over communicate than to under communicate. And again, you know what's going on in your head, and the project is very fresh for you, but remember that your client put it on your plate. And so they're not thinking about it in the same way that you are. So just manage expectations and over communicate, but breaking these big projects down, breaking them into smaller projects will make them just as manageable for you and for your clients. But of course, just keep in mind, over communicate and make sure that you and your client are both aware of where each piece fits into the larger, not puzzle, but larger project.